Hey everybody, it's Shelly. So I put a post out on Facebook and asked if anybody would be interested in me doing a tutorial series on reselling. And so I just want to put out there that I got a few responses that said yes, so I'm doing it. And that I am by no means like the be-all, know-all of reselling, but I do have lots of experience. I have been doing it on eBay since 2000, no, like 1999, 2000, somewhere in there. And before that, I used to do flea markets. I had an antique booth. I've always been garage sailing. When I was a teenager, I was a bit of a horse trader because I had lots of ponies and horses and was constantly selling and buying and making deals and, trading a couple ponies for a car and stuff like that. So I have just always have had an entrepreneurial, spit that out, mindset. And so I have made a job out of reselling clothes for the most part. So I just wanted to do a video on it. So I decided to start the video series, and I'm going to make a playlist out of this after I have a couple videos out there. So when you go to my YouTube channel, which is Creating Happy Mondays, you should be able to go to playlists and see the playlist, and hopefully I can organize it so this one, number one, is first, and I got to figure all that out. Just like I said in my Facebook post, I always do live videos because I don't like to edit, and then ... I don't know how to edit. So, and I'm fine with that. I like going live. It doesn't bother me. I am comfortable in front of the camera, in front of people. Sometimes when I'm in front of people, I kind of flush for a minute, like get all embarrassed, and then I'm over it. So anyways, when you want to be a professional reseller, a part-time reseller, a hobbyist reseller, you have to figure out what to buy to sell, like what are you going to be selling, and where are you going to sell it. And so when I started this, the what to buy or what to sell was pretty wide open, but the where to sell was pretty limited. Back in early 2000s, I believe that eBay started in 95, but I started in I want to say 99, 2000, somewhere in there. I'd have to look at my eBay account and see exactly how long I've been doing it. But that was one of the only games in town. And then there was little advertisements. I know in our town we had the little paper called the Nickel, and you could do advertisements in that so people could call you and buy your stuff. I did flea markets, so that was something that was kind of time consuming because you had to be there and had to interact with people, which was fine with me, but some people don't like to do that. And now there are so many places that you can sell your stuff. You can sell it on Craigslist. You can sell it on Let Go or OfferUp. You can sell it on Facebook Marketplace. All those places, even though they do now offer some shipping, those are mainly local sales. I try to save that for, I don't know, a quick sale of something that I kind of mark down, or big stuff. For instance, on I think it was on OfferUp, I bought a Barbie Jeep for $25 for our granddaughter. So you can buy and sell stuff like that. Obviously you don't want to ship a Barbie Jeep. And there's just other things. I mean, I've sold perfume on local apps. I've sold clothes. I've sold a backpack, a hiking backpack that had all the framework. That would be a real pain in the butt to ship. So yeah, so if you're into furniture, if you like refinishing furniture or painting furniture, if you like vehicles or big car parts or whatever, a lot of that, it would be easier to do it locally because then you can just meet someone to sell the stuff. And it's usually a cash transaction. I have done a few of those that have been PayPal transactions, but I make sure that the money is in my PayPal account. And I kind of look at their, I think you can look at PayPal feedback. I did that with some Littlest Pet Shops at a garage sale. Marley had his whole collection for sale. And I think we were asking $150 because it had all these houses and accessories. And there was 300 pets. And the guy said, would you take 120? So I asked Marley, and he said, yeah. And he said, can I pay you through PayPal? Because I, you know, sell on eBay. And I said, sure, you know. So he actually went home and transferred some money and did all what he needed to do. And then I saw it drop into my PayPal account, and he came back and picked it all up, and that was great. So anyways, kind of getting off subject there. So where to sell? So there's also eBay, and I'll talk a little bit about that. There's Poshmark, there's Mercari, there's Etsy, there's other online resale places. There's oh, what's it called? It starts with a B, I think. I was using it for a while, but it wasn't. There's just, so if you just put in resale websites, you'll get a whole bunch. But these are the main ones that I sell off of. And there's also Facebook Marketplace, which is a really good place because all your friends see it. You're like, you can do it local. There's like local Facebook groups that are like buy and sell, free stuff, barter stuff. Like, there's just so many options. It's so cool now. So first, I was just going to talk a little bit about eBay. So eBay used to be the only game in town, and now they're not. And I'm forgetting Amazon too, but that's like a whole different beast. And I might get into that later, but this is just, I'm just mostly talking about buying something at a thrift store or finding something in your house and reselling it online. So we're not really going to go into Amazon right now. I might do that in later videos, but Amazon is just a whole different beast, like I said. So eBay used to be the only game in town. I started on eBay. I still use eBay. They've made a lot of changes that I've been happy with and not so happy with. They're going to force us all into this managed payments system in a couple of years. And they've always gone with PayPal, and everybody that buys and sells on eBay knows about PayPal and uses PayPal, and they're kind of pushing PayPal out. And it's kind of a pain in the butt because like everything that all my bookkeeping stuff is all connected to my PayPal account. I use my PayPal debit card to buy and source, you know, supplies and goods to be sold. So I'm getting a little irritated with all of that, along with, you know, probably a good 75% of the other sellers that I am aware of. And eBay just has a lot of restrictions going into it as a new seller. I'm really steering new people away from selling on eBay until they kind of get their wings a little bit, just because, you know, like when you first start an account, they limit you to only being able to list 10 items. Then PayPal holds your funds for up to like 3 or 4 weeks. So when you know, say you sell a jacket for, you know, $25 plus $10 shipping. So, you know, you have to come up with that $10 to ship that jacket because that money's not dropping into your PayPal account for several weeks. And they're doing that, and I understand why they're doing it. They're doing it because there came to be a lot of scammers on eBay that would, you know, go and post a whole bunch of stuff for sale, and they would get all that money, and then they would just close down their accounts and disappear. And, you know, I get that, but it just makes it really difficult for these new sellers. And just the listing process is pretty detailed. They have all of these item specifics that you need to fill in. So you end up on the searches. You know, you have to ship your item, you know, depending on what you put for your shipping times, you have to put your shipping times, you know, within 24 hours to be a top rated seller, I believe. You know, have to accept returns. You have to, you know, it's just like, there's just a lot going on eBay as a seller that you have to keep track of. And for me, I feel like it's not so hard for me just because I've been doing it for so long that it just comes naturally to me. I just know that, you know, if something sold yesterday, I need to ship it out today. I know that I have like 24 hours to get it to the post office. Like, I just know how it all works. I know when I get a return, how to handle that. I know when, you know, I mischarged for shipping. I know that I just take the break and do it. And a lot of people first starting out, they can't afford that extra, you know, and it sounds ridiculous, but some people can't afford that extra $5 to ship that thing, or they realize they've lost money because they screwed up on their shipping and they have to pay for it. And they're like, how do I get out of this? Can I cancel the order? And it's like, That's the worst thing you can do. You don't want to do that. You want to take the hit and pay a little bit more and ship that item because you want good customer service and you want positive feedback. I believe I have, I'm just going to go over here really quick and look. I'm pretty sure I have 100% positive feedback. Where am I here? And so that goes with, you know, item specifics. Geez, my computer's being super slow. Sorry, I'm just trying to see this really quick. Yeah, so I have 100% positive feedback in the last 12 months. I have, let's see if it'll show me. Oh, it's just being super slow right now. Anyways, I have, like, that's item as described, communication, shipping time, shipping and handling charges are all things that you're rated on. And so go back here. Hi. So I really steer people away from eBay when they're first starting out. It's just super duper complicated, and I hate to do that because eBay is my, like, you know, it was my bread and butter for years, and I'm slowly pulling back from it and going to other platforms. So Poshmark is another one. So Poshmark used to just all be clothes and accessories, and now they've gone to household goods too. So you can sell like pictures and wall art and linens and, you know, stuff like that. The cool thing about Poshmark is basically their shipping is just a flat, I believe it's $6.49 or something like that, and it goes up to 5 pounds, and it's all priority. So if you sell something that weighs 3 ounces, it's going to be $6.99 to ship for the seller or for the buyer, and if it weighs 5 pounds, it's going to be $6.99 for the buyer. The cool thing about being a seller on Poshmark is you don't have to worry about those shipping fees. You don't see them. Poshmark collects them when they collect the sale of an item, the money for the sale of an item, and all you have to do is click download shipping label and print that out. There is an option if it goes over that 5 pounds, and then you as the seller have to pay that little extra amount. I think it goes up to like $8 or $10, so it's a few bucks. So it can kind of be worth it if it's something that's a little heavier and that you've, you know, charged the right amount for. The thing with Poshmark and eBay charges all kinds of different fees. There's listing fees, there's final value fees, there's promotion fees. You'd have to look into eBay to see all that. All the different categories have different percentages. It gets very complicated. Poshmark charges a 20% fee, and you don't pay that fee unless that item sells. So if you're selling a, you know, couture dress for $100, you're going to get $80 for that dress. So it's just a flat 20%. And like I said, there's no listing fee. You don't pay for shipping unless it goes over 5 pounds, and then you will get that little ding on there. So how Poshmark works, and this also is how Mercari works as far as shipping. So I sell a dress for $100. I'm going to get 80 of that. I go to the solds, to my sales. I click on that dress, and then it says download shipping label. I download the shipping label, click on it. It brings it up on my screen. I print out that shipping label, and I pack that dress in a priority box or a poly envelope, and we'll talk about shipping and all those options in a later video. I pack it, I ship it. So that money, that $80, is pending in my account. So the person then gets the dress, say like 2 or 3 days later, because it went priority, and then they have, I believe it's 3 days on both Poshmark and Mercari that they can rate that item. So they can say they like it, they can say they hate it, and it's like a 5-star rating on Poshmark, and I think it's just happy faces or something on Mercari. So they have, like I said, they have 3 days to rate it after it shows that it was delivered to their house. So they can open it up and they can see like, oh, I missed a hole, or the zipper doesn't work, or something like that. They can even put in for a return, and excuse me, you have the opportunity to respond to that return. I have that happen on Poshmark about once every 2 months. Like returns just don't really happen on Poshmark, you know, unless you're just selling stained holy items. But sometimes I miss something, you know, it happens. But then they can just rate it and say, and they can just rate it on a 5-star level, 5 being the best, 1 being the worst, and they have to do that. And they can also say something like they can say, there was a rip in the hem you didn't mention, so I'm giving you 3 stars, but I'm going to have it repaired and I still love the dress. Or they can do 5 stars and say, oh, this is looks brand new, thank you so much, love the dress, wearing it to prom, or whatever. And so when they rate that item, that's when the money drops into your account. And so then it's just sitting in your Poshmark account, and you can see what your balance is. It'll say your pending balance, which would be that $80 before they rated it, and after they rate it, it drops down into your actual balance. So then you have your bank account linked to your Poshmark account, and then you can just say transfer funds, and it'll pop it over into your bank account. And it usually takes, sometimes it happens the same day, sometimes it takes 2 days. I think it just depends on the system and how fast or slow it's going. And it also depends on your bank. So for me, I just think that that's an easy way for people to start, because there's no money up front. You don't have to pay any listing fees. You just attach your bank account, and then you list the item, you wait for it to sell, and when it sells, you ship it, no money out of your account or your pocket, and then you can collect that money, you know, probably 5 to 7 days after the item sells. And for some people that are used to eBay, they don't like that system because they like how PayPal just drops the money that, you know, for that dress into your PayPal account immediately, and you can use that money for whatever you want immediately. I like the Poshmark way just because it makes sure that the person gets the item and they like it before you're paid. And as you get going on Poshmark, it'll just get into a system. Like for me, every Monday, I transfer my balance into my checking account. It's kind of like a little payday for me. And that's what works for me. And you can transfer it daily. You can transfer it hourly. You can transfer it as many times as you want, as far as I know. I usually transfer it once or twice a week. Sometimes I'll transfer a little bit more if the balance has gone way up and I need that money in there for something that's coming up. So Mercari works the same way. They only charge 10% if you sell the item. There's no listing fees. I believe that people have 3 days to get the item and approve it or disapprove it. And the thing is, too, with both of these platforms, if they don't rate it, if they just like too busy or don't do that or didn't open the package or whatever reason, after that 3 days, that balance goes into your account anyway. So they kind of have a chance to rate it if they did or didn't like it. But if they don't do that and they get lazy, then that automatically happens within 3 days on Poshmark for sure. And Mercari, I'm not sure what the time limit is on that. I thought it was 3 days, but don't quote me on that because I'm not a total expert on Mercari like I am on Poshmark. Not that I'm a total expert. I'm a pretty good expert on Poshmark, but there's always stuff to learn on everything. Okay, and so like I said, Mercari only takes 10%. The thing with Mercari is I don't feel like they have as big of a following. I sell clothes, so Poshmark is a really great place to sell clothes because there's just lots of fashion-forward people on there looking for great deals. And so Mercari, I feel like, is more like household, bargain shoppers, kind of more of like an eBay vibe. I don't know. And there are people that are making their whole living on Mercari. So this is just coming from me, my experience. I was actually going to pull everything off of Mercari, and now I'm just doing a different system that I'll talk about in a later video because I sell on all 3 platforms. So I'm constantly transferring things from platform to platform. That's my system, and I'll talk about it later, but it's really complicated, and I wouldn't want to put that out there right now. The other platform that you can sell on that's kind of a cool platform, I haven't had a lot of luck with it, but many people have. I have a cousin that sells on there, and she does mid-century vintage household items, kind of kitschy stuff or whatever, is Etsy. And so the thing with Etsy is everybody kind of, if you know anything about Etsy, it's more of like a handmade website. Like if you make soaps or if you make clothes or crafts or whatever, you can sell your crafts and wares on there. But they also have a whole vintage section. If you have vintage stuff, you can sell it there. And there's people that are making a living selling vintage items on Etsy. And the other thing with Etsy is supplies, art supplies, craft supplies. Those things can be sold on Etsy. And Etsy does charge, I want to say it's like 15 cents a listing, but that's good for like 3 or 4 months. And like, don't quote me on all this stuff because I'm not an Etsy seller at all. And then I believe that they do a final value fee. And then honestly, I don't even know how their shipping works right now because it's been several years since I've sold anything on Etsy, but it is an option. If you are a craft person and you love craft supplies and you go to like, I know Tuesday mornings here in Vancouver, Washington has a great crafts section. If you went there and just gleaned out all their super clearance stuff and brought it home and sold it, that could be a business. So that kind of leads me to what you're going to sell and why you're going to sell those items. So I kind of gave you a little rundown on where you can sell. There's just so many options. Pick one, play with it. If you don't like it, try another one. If you like the local sales, the only real advice I have for local sales is meet somewhere public. Scott and I, when we sell local, I always make sure I go with him. A couple times I've taken Marley with me just to have that other person there, but I always meet in a public place. The only time I've ever had people come to the house is like we sold a queen bed set, and obviously I'm not going to load that up and take it to the mall parking lot and hope that they like it, you know, especially around here it rains and stuff. So no, they came to the house and came into our garage. We were both home. It was safe. We sold a TV stand. The guy came into our house because it was in our house. So things like that are a little bit different. But you can also see people's ratings, how many things they've bought and sold. You can talk to them beforehand. You know, nothing's totally fail-safe. But we just meet in the mall parking lot. Kind of on the outskirts of the parking lot where, you know, we're not like in a bunch of cars where nobody could see what's going on. We make sure there's no cars around us. That way it's just safer. If something did happen, there would be witnesses. There's people driving by on the little mall roads that go around the mall. It's just a really good idea. It's safe. Bring somebody with you, you know, just be safe about it. There are places at police stations where you can meet, where there's cameras. You know, there's just like, just don't be having people come to your house all the time, and don't be going to other people's homes all the time. It can get sticky. And, you know, if a deal goes bad, you know, a lot of the local sales people are like, oh, can you hold that for me? I never hold anything. It's first come, first serve. If you say you're going to meet me at the mall at 5 and you don't show up by 5:30 and I have a second person that wants that, whatever it is, and I get a hold of them while I'm sitting at the mall parking lot and say, hey, you know, that first person never showed up. You want it, you know, we're at the mall right now. Come and get it. And they're going to be there in 5 or 10 minutes. And then that other person gets mad because, you know, I don't know, they got stuck in traffic. It's like there's lots of communication too. You know, when I get there, you know, on the app, on the OfferUp app, I say, I'm here. We got here early, and they'll say, oh, we're stuck in traffic. Like that sort of stuff happens. But if you just get ghosted and then that person gets upset, can you imagine if they had your address? You'd feel a little uneasy about that if they got really upset. And, you know, and that happens. People are crazy. So just be careful if you're selling on any local app and meeting people. I have had zero problem. I've had 1 or 2 people that just totally ghosted and never showed up, like told me that they were like, I can see them all from where I'm at. And then I'm like, cool, you know, we're in the silver pickup or whatever. And then they just like, they disappear and we're sitting there for like 10 minutes. And I'm like, hello, are you there? you know, and then like I never heard from him again. And luckily with that person, I was able to give him a bad rating because we'd already done communication with that item, and you can do that on OfferUp too. And I believe you can do that on Facebook Marketplace just because you can leave comments. So anyways, so what to sell and why. So what you want to sell is what you're into. If you like fishing, sell fishing stuff. If you have a ton of knowledge about tying flies and fishing rods and, you know, what are those called? The things you wear, the hip waders or whatever. Like you can find all that stuff at garage sales and flea markets and garage or thrift shops and all of that. You know, if you're into golf, there's a huge market for used golf equipment. If you are into clothes like me, sell clothes. If you are into cell phones, there are people making $10,000 or $20,000 profit a month buying and selling used and broken cell phones. Like if you know about cell phones, if you know how they work, if you know how to, you know, plug one in at the Starbucks where you meet somebody to make sure it works and then it's unlocked. There's courses you can take on all of that. There is huge money and stuff like that. Tablets, laptops, all of that stuff. If that's your jam, then learn as much as you can about reselling it and go for it, because you can make, like, you can, you know, double or triple your current income doing that. If you are into video games, video game consoles and video games are huge for reselling. People are looking for certain games and certain systems. The vintage systems are huge sellers right now. If you are into horses, you know, you can go and buy used horse tack and equipment. You could put an ad on Facebook saying, I buy saddles, and you can buy and sell saddles locally and you can ship them. I sold my daughter's saddle to a woman in California, and I shipped that sucker. It was 45 pounds after I got done packing it in the box. And I shipped it, I believe, FedEx to California, and she got it and it was great. Like you can ship saddles. You can, you know, like, the thing with deciding what you're going to sell is you need to sell something you are knowledgeable about. If you are really into toys, if you collect toys, do that. If you're really into sports jerseys, 2 summers ago, I bought 83 sports jerseys at a garage sale for $300. And I probably made that $300 back on like 5 or 10 of them. And the rest was just gravy. Like, you can sell anything. you can sell jewelry. You can sell beauty products. You can sell, I'm looking around my office here. You can sell binoculars. You know, you can just do Disney stuff. Like, what you sell depends on what you know. And another really good thing to start out selling, if you don't have money to invest, if you don't want to go to the thrift store and spend $50 or $100 on a bunch of stuff to resell, go through your own closet, go through your pantry, go through your cupboards, go through your closets, go through your kids' clothes, go through your kids' toys. Is there stuff that they're just not playing with because they outgrew it or they never liked it to begin with? That's how I started. One of the first items I sold was a little pair of baby Nikes that Madison outgrew. And I just did it from there. Like it got to the point where literally Scott was like, I'm going to put these shoes right here, and I'm probably not going to wear them for like a month because I use them just when I mow the lawn because I don't want to get my good shoes, you know, dirty or covered with grass stains. Don't sell them. You know, it got to that point where it was like, if it wasn't nailed down, I was listing it on eBay. And then I discovered, you know, that I could go to thrift stores. I mean, I already knew that, but I was really depending on garage sales. And where I lived at the time, it snowed, and there was only like a 2 or 3 month window of garage sale season because it was just so cold. So I was kind of depending on that season to buy all my stuff. And then I wouldn't do anything. And then I was like, Goodwill, duh. And there was Salvation Army. Here in Vancouver, there's a Humane Society thrift store. There's several Goodwills. There's the Goodwill Outlet, which is my place. I pay $1.29 a pound for clothes, hard goods, whatever, and that's what I sell. I mean, just for instance, here is a pair of Free People jeans. They're so cool. These probably weigh maybe a pound or so, so I spent $1.50 on them, and I'm probably going to get 20 or 30 bucks for them. So that just kind of gives you the ROI, which you'll hear that a lot, a return on investment. So, you know, when you are buying things to resell or finding things around your house, put the eBay app on your phone. Even if you're not going to sell on eBay, it's just a really good jumping off point to figure out what things are worth. So you can go to your eBay app and you can put in Free People black and white printed jeans, and then it'll come up with a bunch of Free People jeans, and there might not be a black and white, but you'll see basically what the Free People jeans are going. And then you can go up to I think it's Refine, and click on the sold button, and it will show you what the recent solds were for that. So you might see some Free People jeans that somebody's trying to get 150 bucks for, and you're like, oh, these are worth 150 bucks. But when you go to the sold, you'll see they're only selling for like 20 or 30 bucks. So that's what you want to go with, because what people want for an item and what people are actually selling those items for, there's a big difference. People think, oh, I've got, you know, the Princess Di Beanie Baby, so it's worth $5,000, when really they're only going for 20 bucks, you know. And I know that seems silly, but there are people that really think that they have like some major thing, and they really don't. So look at those solds, and you can do the same thing on Poshmark. You can search something and then go down on the left-hand side, and it's like all available and sold. Hit the sold, and you'll see what items that are similar to that have sold for in, you know, the recent days or weeks or whatever. And then you can get an idea of like, oh, so these jeans, I can get 50 bucks out of them, you know. So I guess that's it. I really encourage you, if you're going to do reselling, start with stuff around your house, unless you have a bit to invest and you're an expert in something. And always look at those solds, those comparables. Get those apps, those, you know, if you're going to be selling clothes, I strongly recommend that you start on Poshmark. If you're going to be selling everything, just like whatever, start on Mercari, because Mercari has all those different categories. It's not just clothes and housewares like Mercari or like Poshmark. If you want to try to sell on eBay, just know that it's going to be a slow process. And if you're okay with that, then go for it. But eBay is not the only game in town. There are so many other options. One of the things about selling local, especially in the beginning, is you can take that money and easily reinvest it because you have cash, because most of those local sales are cash. So you'll have cash in your pocket to go buy more stuff, and you'll get an idea of what's selling as you go. I suggest that if you are going to be selling on any of these platforms, that you're taking at least half of what you're making and reinvest it in more stuff to sell. And it's a live and learn business. You're not going to be an expert. I could give you a whole list of brands that are selling this season, and then by next spring, some of them will be just gone. Like, for instance, 7 for All Mankind jeans used to be like, you bought those because you would be getting top dollar. And now I still buy them every once in a while, but they're just not what they used to be. Same with Miss Me jeans. Miss Me jeans were the thing to sell. Like, if you found a pair of Miss Me jeans, you could get, you know, sometimes 50, 100 bucks for them. Now they're only going for maybe 20 bucks. They're still worth it if you find a nice pair that aren't all torn up or all the gems aren't missing, but things just change, and you find your niche. Some people like really go with, like, you know, juniors and teenagers. Some people go with just kids clothes. Some people go with men's clothes. Some people go with, you know, just business wear, you know, just stuff that women are going to wear to work. Some people really like shoes. Some people really like jewelry or accessories. So you've got to find your niche, and it's just a live and learn business, and you'll figure it out as you go. But start with the stuff around your house. Go clean out your closet. Go clean out your cupboards and find, those, appliances that you're not using. Make sure everything works. Go clean out your video game collection and look up those video games. You might be so surprised that one of those video games is selling for $250 and you just been sitting on it because you didn't like playing it and it just got pushed to the back. Make sure it works good, list it on a platform and sell it and get going. Look at your old perfume. If you inherited like all your grandma's perfume and jewelry and you just stuck it in a box and put it back in a closet or up in the garage somewhere, pull that sucker down. Some of that vintage perfume, I sold a bottle locally that I got in a bag of perfume for $6. I sold that bottle for $35 locally. That was $35 cash that went in my pocket. So there's just so many options. Just start doing it. If you have any questions, feel free to leave comments. You can catch me over on Facebook, Shelly Leonard Epperly. Feel free to friend me. I'm going to post this. So again, where you can sell, so many options. eBay, Poshmark, Mercari, Etsy, OfferUp, LetGo, Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist. There's so many other places that you can sell. What to sell? Start with stuff around your house. Start with stuff you're super knowledgeable about and branch out from there if you decide to do that. You might not have to. You might not want to. But you can make a living reselling items in this society. We're such a throwaway society. There's people that actually just go dumpster diving at the back of stores and sell that stuff. If you haven't watched Stephen Steff, Killer Resellers, just look up Steve and then it's an N, Steff, Steph, on YouTube. They are dumpster diving so much now, and they resell that stuff on different platforms. They have garage sales. They do flea markets. They're a couple, and that's how they live in Southern California down by LA, and that's how they make their living, people. Primarily dumpster diving. They also buy pallets, and they used to do thrift shops, but they're amazing, and they make good money. They don't say how much money they make, which is fine, but they're living a great life. They're having fun. They're traveling. They're taking their grandkids to Disneyland. So it can be done, people. It can be done. Just do it. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments, and I will do my best to answer them as soon as possible. You guys have a great day. Happy Monday, and I will be back either tomorrow or the next day and do a second video. Bye.